Hello, it's Monday, and it's a little later than I anticipated that I usually do this, and so I'm going to try and talk a little quieter because there's people around me. Um, you know, I'm trying to get out of the habit of explaining a day as good or bad or wrong or right, and trying to get back into that place of neutrality where something just is. And we're the maker of meaning, aren't we? We're the ones that put meaning to something. So effectively, I'm taking that thing and I'm making it mean something. So nothing has meaning except the meaning I assign it or I give it. And it's through my judgment normally when I'm looking at something, through the context that I'm looking at it through, which means that every experience I've ever had in my whole life is informing the choices I make at that point in time. And so, the ability to call myself on my own bullshit and see through some of the facades that I've, lived under this veil of I'm fine, everything's fine and wonderful. But the truth is, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that I'm out of alignment. There's something incongruent in that. Because although I have a really terrific life and although I love many aspects of it, I've been using food as a mechanism to save myself and hurt myself. And I know that I'm not the only one that is using some sort of aid to numb themselves out or take themselves out of the reality, the current experience that we're having. And I know that, at the beginning when I started making these 35 days ago, I was in this state all the time. I had lived there for years, so it was very familiar to me. And I had wanted to get out of that state and not be frenzied and not be anxiety ridden and not be, in that sort of constant agitated state. But the truth is I didn't have any structures in place to allow a practice to get into a different state. So I would just always find myself here every once in a while and then remember to, right, okay, I can breathe. Excuse me, now that I'm almost 3 weeks into a daily practice, lots of rituals, lots of writing, lots of, thinking and feeling and writing and processing, a ton of processing. And I get daily insights. And it's amazing to me because when I go to sleep at night, I'm feeling really satisfied with the day that I've had most of the time. And I'm feeling pretty good about where I'm at right now, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And that feels really good. So that feels more in alignment with how I really want to live my life. And it's a journey, it's a process. So sometimes in the day I'm doing really, really well at that, and there's sometimes that I'm not. And it's, to be expected in the time that we're in right now where everything is so uncertain. There's just so many we don't actually knows. And the truth is, I could constantly be in that state of fear and feeding that place all the time with the content that I think, with the seeds that I plant in my thoughts here, with the content that I see, I take in through my eyes and my other senses, and that sort of energy that we plug into when other people are also feeling this, and then we're feeling that alongside of them. And so, I'm really clear that this morning when the meditation was about unity, it was asking me what my belief around unity is, and truthfully, that's harmony. And so interestingly, to decipher, this as disharmonious and having, excuse me, lived there for so long that it's familiar, but it's not good for my mental, physical, emotional, spiritual health. And so right now, even though things are unknown, even though there's some things that I can't answer, it's still my job to get into my body, calm myself, and come at life from that calm and centered and surrendered place. And I heard today, it's more than trusting the process. Now, I know that's a cliche phrase at this point in time, trust the process, but really it is about trusting what I'm experiencing right now is meant to be in my experience. And so, for instance, today, feeling like when I really wanted to do some Jay Shetty and then realizing that I'm 15 days behind everybody else, and feeling all up in my shit about that. I didn't start on a Monday, and I didn't start with everybody else, and I have a huge fear of missing out. Huge, that I'm realizing more and more, and I, kind of want to be everywhere, but the truth is, not everywhere is for me. And so I'm trying to use my discernment in deciding where it is that I lend my energy to on a daily basis. And again, it's a process. There are some moments in the day when I'm like, yeah, I'm rocking this thing. And then there are others when I'm just like, oh my God. And all of it's okay. But I have way more moments of calm, surrendered, peaceful tranquility than I do in that sort of frenzied state where I was most of the time. But that's taken putting things in place to support me to have those feelings. And I know that it's so interesting because I'm such a doer, and I'm assuming that some of you are too. Well, if I just tick these things off my list, then I could get to being. And the problem is that it's not a destination. It's an experience, and it's something to be experienced in every single moment that we're doing something, whether it just be being or doing any of those things. I talked about the fact that I find myself sometimes rushing through my writing, and I'm like, okay, so hang on a second, where am I going? Or, for me, when I'm eating, finding I've eaten half my food and I don't even remember tasting it. I'm not present. I'm in a rush. I'm in that frenzied state, and I don't even know why. It's just familiar. And so habitually, if I stay in that place, then when I notice it, it's my obligation to myself, my gift, an invitation to notice and course correct. Today I heard something on one of the meditations that I was doing, and it was, live in the pause. Live in the pause. Can you feel the difference of energy in the living life and doing my to-do list and, oh my God, I've got 1,000 things to do and I don't know what I'm going to do, to allowing myself to take a pause? Whenever I'm off base or off balance, it's like that, it always comes back to somehow I've gotten into that triggered state. I'm in that lockdown state. I don't even realize that I'm there until I do. And when I do, it's not about making myself bad or wrong in that moment. It's about bringing harmony and peace and calm back into my presence. Because at any point in time, I get to choose when that moment will be. I think that it's not complicated, but we make it so. And I know for me, I've been living mostly in integrity, mostly in truth, but there's this massive section that have major blind spots to. And I've been negating telling myself the capital T truth, the one that I understand and feel on a cosmic level, for so long, because the fear has outweighed the pull, the drive, or the desire. Until recently, where I find myself reevaluating where it is that I'd like to be, telling myself the truth about all the time that I've wasted not doing the things that I know that I could or should or would have been doing, and have ultimately always had the time to do, but always convinced myself that I was too busy, that there was something going on that I couldn't quite get to, whatever that is. And then recently been given this opportunity, knowing myself, knowing that, I spent 5 years of my life from 2003 to 2008 as a recluse. The only place I went was the store. I have been debilitated by darkness and mental health challenges, etc., anxiety, depression, generalized anxiety, like just feeling anxiety about literally everything and not comprehending why I'm feeling that way, and feeling completely out of control of my life for so long, and at the effect of everything that was happening to me, breathing about here, and not really realizing the damage that was doing to not only my physical body and my physical self, but my mental and emotional and spiritual states as well. And so now that I've taken on the onus of responsibility, and I'm saying, okay, so now my ability to respond to all of this is to make changes in the places that I can, and understand that it's not going to happen overnight, that it is a process. Life is a journey and a process. And so today I got a little bit further on my journey towards actualizing some of the things that I have as goals and aspirations right now. And one of those things is aligning myself better with telling myself the truth about my health, about my, addiction to food, about my numbing with that vice. And really, the relationship with food is so messed up, and from childhood, so having the experience of watching my granddaughter eat now, and being made to sit at the table. Now, granted, it wasn't as it was in my childhood, but it still is reminiscent of that, and it triggers that freeze point in me where I, at some point in time, decided to leave my body as a child. And I've then lived in this displaced place for so long, mistreating myself, hurting myself, based on what other people have said or done or inflicted upon me, and living in a place of victim around that in particular, even though I've done all kinds of healing in these other areas, and I've done all kinds of glimpsing and looking and digging and, divine work. There's always going to be work to do. Until I leave this planet, there's always going to be work to do. And what I'm reminded of, my friend passing away yesterday, and all of the deaths that I've had in the last 3, 4, 5 years that have impacted me, is that every single one of them left, not having said all that they wanted to say, not having done all that they wanted to do, not being completely aligned with purpose, and living or leaving with life left to live. And so I think it's so important that in these, moments and experiences, that we find out how to tell ourselves the truth about the things that we have been out of alignment and out of congruence with ourselves. This job is internal, man. And I'm more convinced of that today than I ever have been. But as I walk forward on my path, and as I every day take pieces from the learnings that I have, from the tasks that I'm doing, from the way that I'm doing them, from the way that I'm, getting in touch with and or avoiding, but every day I move a little bit closer, and that's what it takes, is one step at a time, breathing yourself back into this place, gaining clarity about what it is that you want, and then taking logical and methodical steps towards creating it, and letting go of the how, surrendering that place. I've kept myself so small and so stuck for a long time in fear that I would take too much, or, I've been accused of breathing too much air. So these are lies or fallacies that people, said at one point in time that I took on as my truth. And the truth is that I get to eliminate all the things that no longer align with what my truth is becoming. It may be something that I have had in the past. It may be something that, that is habitual, but it doesn't have to be the story. And so at this point in time, I get to rewrite this story. And truthfully, we all do. It's a great opportunity to get really in tune. Tune in tune. Live in the pause. Take those moments and just be fully present as much as you can, and know that every day has opportunities in it. And the more that we embrace those things, and the more that we walk towards them, and the more real we are with ourselves and others, in telling ourselves some of the truths that we have avoided telling, either ourselves or others, and allowing ourselves to be seen, to be heard, to be transparent and real. You know, my biggest pet peeve is, just fake it till you make it. I have been in business many times with people that just go, just put on a happy face. Don't let anybody see you're sad, bad, anything but glad. And the truth is, if I was going to do that, I'd puke, for one, because it would be completely out of alignment with who I am and the values that I hold as true. I want you to know that I'm messy sometimes, and that sometimes I'm glorious, and I'm everything in between, and I'm okay with all of it. And I hope that you give yourself the opportunity and the gift to get okay with all of it too. So much love. So much love, respect, honor, appreciation. Thanks for spending time with me. See you tomorrow.